Yo, 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 what is good, YouTube? So today, let me just make sure everything is running good. Yep. All right, cool. Today is Sunday, October 10th, and we're gonna cover like a little bit of like a market analysis, like weekly outlook type of deal. Like I mentioned numerous times, like I'm really just doing this, honestly for myself, and like the people that ask me questions about what I think about like the things that I follow, the things that I put my money in. So feel free to like, comment, subscribe, to get notified about more of these videos in the future. And if you are on here live, feel free to drop your questions. Feel free to drop your questions in the comments section, and I should be able to see them here on my streaming side. I'm actually going to test it and just see, because I'm pretty new to all of this stuff here. Let's see if it pops up. Yep, it does. Cool. Cool. So yeah, drop your comments below. I would be more than happy to help you out and explain stuff in a little bit further detail if you don't understand. And if you're watching the replay, same thing. Feel free to drop your comments below there, and I'd be more than happy to help you out, point you in the right direction, give you my thoughts, my insights on anything and everything that I'm looking at as far as like where I'm putting my money. But cool. So let's go ahead and dive into it. I don't want to like draw this out too long. I want to keep these videos short, sweet, simple, to the point. So that way they're very straightforward in the purpose and with the messages that's being delivered. So I want to start out with GJ just because like, that's my bread and butter. I love GJ, and yeah, we're going to run it. So this is just kind of like, layout from last week, what it was, what I had like marked up from Friday. So as you can see, like we'll just bust down into the 30-minute time frame, and what you can see here is this was like 9:30 time. This is like what I was looking for, sells below this area. This was just like confident sells, just based on like at this point, like daily and 4 hour, below here, this would be bearish. But in this zone here, it was like a mixture, and then like buys above were like super clear here, like 4 hour and daily were trending the same direction. But as you can see, time frame, like 9:30, like nothing happened in my trading session. However, this happened at 10, and then you could have pretty much like caught this move. I guess kind of depending on how the 15-minute played out here. Didn't really like have too much action here, based on like my one of my big rule of thumbs is like waiting for like a break and close. So like this would have been like the confirmation, like break and close, like okay, we're going to assume this direction, moving up is going to continue. But as you can see, like just based on the time frame, there wasn't enough volume here to push it up into this zone fully. So really just didn't move enough. So based on like this though, this, if it would have continued into, if this would have ended up on like maybe Wednesday, going into Thursday, like this would have definitely played out and continued bullish. This is like forming really good bullish structure on the intraday time frame. But just to bump it out to like huge time frame, and just give like an overall vision on what's happening here with GJ. So overall, like monthly is kind of like in a downtrend, I would say. But as you can see, it seems to be just kind of like reacting to this zone here on the monthly. So overall, monthly is bullish. It looks like it's going to break the high of the previous month, and continue bullish, especially based on like the weekly close. Weekly is bullish, and keep in mind, like I'm just looking at all this shit from like a price action standpoint. But keep in mind, like this is something I trade based on an intraday, so it's not something that I'm like too worried about on these higher time frames. But anyways, based on the monthly and weekly being bullish, the weekly closing above the previous, breaking the high, respecting the low, like everything just kind of like confirms that it's going to continue bullish. Same thing here on the daily. We had the daily close. This is where we can start like thinking about zones, and just kind of like based on this zone here. being like kind of like a resistance and now potentially support, but also like this traffic area here. Like as you can see, like there's a lot of traffic here from the past, and I believe this is like kind of what I had drawn up as like a target for Friday. Um, but anyways, this is like potential like next big traffic zone where we might see some sort of rejection and some sort of bounce down, maybe continue up. And this is where we can start running into different scenarios based on what we see happening on a day-to-day basis. Something similar to this here is pretty common. Or to be honest, we can see something also like this where it's just straight up into this zone and we just reject straight back down, maybe even into this level here, this zone over here. So that's kind of the thing, is we have to think about like possibilities and like the story that the candles can tell as time goes on. But overall, it's looking like it's going to continue bullish of some sort. But we'll just keep monitoring it day by day and seeing how we can take action based on what the market is telling us. I don't like to assume things too much, but I do like to have like an overall outlook and kind of see if like my story plans out. So keep it moving. The 4 hour time frame here, this here is starting to get into the a little bit more of the juicy stuff per se. A little bit more like movement. So obviously we have like this zone right here that we're looking at for traffic, but if we continue to move through that zone, based on the daily time frame, then next areas of traffic are looking over here, and even like here type of thing. But I'm just going to focus on for now like what's right in front of us type of thing. So this looks like pretty good as like an overall like kind of zone. The 4 hour did close like weak bearish, so we might see some sort of like test of support down here, maybe even like in this zone here. We don't really know, to be honest with you, but we'll just have to see as candles play out. But overall, this is the first bearish candle that we've come across based on the monthly, weekly, and daily. So based on, let's just take some notes here, based on D1 bullish. Actually, let's go further. So M1 bullish, and daily is bullish as well, and weak bearish. So first like signs of like any sort of like bearish movement was here on the 4 hours. So not a bad sight, to be honest with you. Just based on what we're seeing here. But it does show some signs of rejection, and obviously was just like what we noticed here on the 30 minutes. So first thing that comes to mind based on like next time frame, next zone, next session type of thing, these are like the zones that I would look for breaks, and just overall like buys above here and sells above here. Obviously, sells a little bit more less likely to happen, but this is like potential. Oops. Sells below and buys above. Whoops. Cool. And honestly, like just to be a little bit safer, this like might even want to be, whoops. I could just add it in another. This might even want to be like brought down a little bit lower, maybe like here, or even lower than this, like like into this zone or even lower. So this might even just bring like a little bit more confidence just based on like the other time frames, like this based on the daily is going to bring a little bit more confirmation that okay, we're closing back below this zone, so we might continue down. So that actually makes a little bit more sense and like a confidence and like a continuation of a pattern. But yeah, so I would look for like buys above this area and, ultimately like, price to respect this zone, and this zone type of thing. And whenever that starts to happen, if it starts to happen lower than here, we might be able to catch buys up to retest this. This is like another common thing that I see is like, price, comes up, creates a high, and then it comes down, forms a level of support and then goes and retests the high. Sometimes it even comes down a little bit lower and then goes and retests the high. So, it's just really, we just kind of have to take it, candle by candle and see what the story is that what we can tell. But based on, M1 weekly, daily, and, the 4 hour just being a week bearish, this just being like a range, I'm just going to assume that this is going to continue bullish 100%. And if it doesn't, we'll figure out how we can adjust our bias into sells. But this is pretty much like the only option that I would see for sells is price, coming down below this area. But anything in this area, we can look for buys to retest the high. But anything above here will be continuation into the next zones. But cool. So I think that's a good GJ breakdown for now. Let's go ahead and look at gold. As mentioned in the past, gold's not one of my favorite things to look at. To be honest, it's very choppy. It moves a lot. It's dangerous. But I do want to start watching it just to start seeing if I can, notice different things. A lot of the people that I follow, trade gold, and we just have common interests there. So just something that I want to test and just see if I can notice any similarities here real quick. Okay, perfect. Cool. So bringing it up to the monthly, we had bearish close. It looks like below this zone here. So it looks like we might have like a test of this level here based on the monthly. Because as you can see, this is like, kind of a little zone here. Um, and yeah, it looks like price is going to potentially continue down into this area and maybe even further down, down to here, based on the monthly zones here. But let's go ahead and look at this based on a weekly time. So weekly, week bearish. Previous candle was kind of weak bullish. But at the end of the day, this is what I mean by gold. It's really choppy. Like, we have weak bearish. Next candle broke the low, but closed weak bullish. Next candle weak bearish, didn't, respected the low but broke the high. So it's just very choppy. So based on the weekly, I don't know, I don't really have anything. The monthly is a little bit more clear there. The daily, now looking at this, we see huge rejection above here. So we know that this area above 1766 is going to be causing a lot of trouble. So I'm gonna, based on the monthly being, this weak, or this bearish and kind of weak bullish right now, it looks like it created the wick and it might continue down. And the weekly being this weak bearish, it looks like we can probably break the low, fill this wick here, continue into this zone. And the daily, it looks like we can definitely, create some sort of wick on the high side, break the low, and continue into this zone, and then ultimately down into filling that wick there. But I think coming into this zone is definitely reasonable. And let's see how we can possibly make that happen. So as you can see, weak bullish candle here, no wick on the top, so it shows really no range for it to come up. Previous one was huge bearish. But at the end of the day, lows were respected. So, it's overall just kind of forming this range here on the 4 hour. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, I'm going to drop this zone here because this whole range here on the 4 hours is pretty choppy, to be honest. Now let's take it down to 1 hour now. This is the thing, gold goes every single direction. Um, so with that being said, it's very hard to trade. So I would look at this zone here. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this down to 30 minute. All right, cool. So we have that zone there, and we have like this zone here. This actually doesn't look too bad as kind of like a range here, and we can look for like buys above, sells below type of thing. And target this area type of thing for each direction. So being that it's not, something that's my favorite, I'm just going to draw this up and not spend too much time here and just kind of like see how this plays out through the week. Um, but I don't really know, overall based on the higher time frames, which direction this looks like it's going to be going. So let's mark this up. Buys above. Sells below. And yeah, this is what I'm going to be looking for gold moving into the sessions, because below here looks really good as far as clean candle range. Above this zone here looks pretty solid to test these highs. So I think that's definitely doable. Cool. So let's move it on into Bitcoin. Bitcoin. Let me take a sip of water here. Cool. So Bitcoin. So Bitcoin has been something that I've been really enjoying following for quite some time now. It creates good structure. It moves a lot. It's volatile, but at the end of the day, like I said, it creates a good structure on the higher time frames. So the monthly, as we've been monitoring, is continuing bullish, or is still bullish. The weekly, and there's not too much here to talk about. We have this zone. Let's see, we have this zone up here. As far as the monthly, and then kind of this zone of support here, but this zone here down here is really strong based on the monthly. So yeah, we have kind of these three zones here. Now going into the weekly, as you can see, they match. They match pretty strong. Even this one ties in over here pretty good. And let me see if I can drag this one over without ruining this shape. Here we go. And as you can see, this one over here, traffic here, kind of some traffic here. But to look a little bit further, because the weekly candle is going to be closing here in about 10 hours, as you can see. So to look a little bit further is if we can get a close above this zone here, I think we're going to be looking pretty promising to continue up into here, maybe even fill this wick up here, which is like 64,000, and potentially keep on going up the ladder, maybe even up to like 70,000 or so from there. So this will be really interesting to monitor, especially with this strong bullish close after this. Basically like high created, support created. Another little like intraday, weekly high created, support created, blasted through there. If we can close above, this is definitely looking very strong to be a continuation of bullish pattern. So to go on daily, now this is kind of playing out just like I was saying, and I haven't really touched like as you see, like most of my charts, I remove all of the drawings and just kind of look at it from there. But I want to keep this one the way it is because it's been following a lot of shit that I've like mapped out based on these past zones. So because like Bitcoin doesn't have like hundreds of years of history, it's creating like its patterns now. So it's very easy to follow like these zones and kind of like see like next possible rejection points. So As I mentioned, like if we saw a daily close above this area, we might see some range and, something like this in this zone before we continue up above it. And it looks like that's playing out. But I think, like with the weekly candle closing above here, this will probably form some sort of, support on a daily and then continue up and, keep the bullish momentum moving. So this will be interesting to watch. But overall, I'm thinking bullish. I don't really like to drop down below the daily time frame here, just because, as you can see, it just starts to get real noisy. But you can see a nice range here on the 4 hour, and if we can continue bullish, it looks like it's going to continue up. But yeah, overall, Bitcoin, I'm still very bullish on that. XRP, this is something else that I've kind of been following. This I will remove all of the lines, and we'll just kind of like see what we see here. But it is like kind of choppy based on the patterns. But overall, we can definitely see some clear zones. Like, we have that zone of heavy support. Obviously, this zone way down here, which we'll probably never ever see, 15 cents, probably never even see 60 cents on XRP again. But overall, like we can start to see some zones. Even this one here, this one might be a little bit more clear on some smaller time frames, but you can see this point of rejection and then also rejecting it now, going bullish from there. So on the monthly, overall looking bullish. I'd really like to see a retest of this zone here, and honestly, ultimately, like coming up into this major zone up here. But these are definitely like, key points. Like I definitely see XRP coming back up to retest that previous high. And yeah, I definitely see that happening. So coming into the weekly, this is forming nice support here. Looks like it's going to continue up into the 140s area, the $1.40 area. Let's see, probably in this zone. And then after that, if we can continue the momentum up in the $1.80, $1.70, and then continue onward. But yeah, this is another one. I don't really like to get too small on the time frames, just because it gets really choppy and rangy. But overall, on the weekly and monthly, I definitely see it continuing bullish. And we'll just kind of like draw out some sort of prediction. Probably something like this, and continue on to fill that wick to the left, and maybe even continue on up here. That would be really cool to see as far as XRP, just because it's something that I've been following. Honestly, I was following XRP before it was a penny. So I've been following that one since like 2013 or so. But cool, we're gonna wrap it up for today. It's about 9:15. It's Sunday. I got other shit to do. And we covered the objectives for today. Overall, just weekly analysis, what we're looking at. Looks like we're looking at some buys, continuation of buys on GJ, XRP, or I mean gold. Sorry, gold. We have our kind of like analysis drawn out for what we're going to be looking for here. Bitcoin, just kind of like the continuation of the analysis already created from last week. And XRP, doing something that we have drawn up here. So if you got some value here, I would appreciate it if you shared it with a friend. If you liked it, you commented, subscribe, turn on your notifications, hop on here live, ask some questions. And yeah, overall, let's just try and create something cool out of this, and hopefully I can share some value to everybody that's tuning in. And yeah, we'll see how this turns out throughout the week. Cool. So we'll catch you all. I'm going to try and go live tomorrow, 7:30 or so, run until 9:30 or so. So if I'm on, catch you then. If not, catch you another time. Peace.